Oh, it's your favorite time of the week. It's Last Call Wednesday. Look, is this Rocky 4? Is this Bloodsport? Is this Kickboxer? It's heating up, man. Everybody's fighting in 2024, and it looks like I just lost internet. That's how crazy. I mean, they already know. They already know this is going to be a crazy show. Josh, a little bit under the weather. He's still here in the producing for us today. Conservative Ant is out doing a photo shoot. Last week he was with the Trump family in Mar-a-Lago. This week he's at a photo shoot. You know, it's a big time of year when you're a political what is he called? A political commentator. You know, this is a political season, so he's super busy. But he's listening in best he can on his way to the photo shoot. Thoughts and prayers to Josh, but he'll be here in the audio. You'll be able to hear him. We got so much to cover. The gloves are coming off, baby. Trump is suing ABC. Biden doesn't show up for another hearing. And we'll get into that. That's there's a little bit to cover there. The Boeing whistleblower thing, though, is getting extremely crazy. And as I promised on Monday, we have to get into this bloodbath thing. I had, just a slight, I don't say it's an argument because it's just a show, right? It's an uncuffed show. But we kind of had some back and forth on the word bloodbath. And so I really dug deep to kind of prove my point today on the show. And hey, that's what you get when you do two shows a week and not just one. I get to recap. So if something doesn't work out for me on Monday, I can double down on it on Wednesday, and I'm going to double down on it. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com, Factor Meals, meal planning to the next level, and the Wellness Company. Hit it, Joshua.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
All right, is my mic on now? Is my mic on?
That is the correct mic.
It wasn't on. It wasn't on, but it's on now. Good morning, everybody. A bunch of people in the live chats today. Lauren Pot Rose Malone, David J, Ryan Olosio, Guns and Cafe, David J, Slick Montana, Joseph Wooten. Thank you guys for being up in the live chats. Share this. Just go, if you're on YouTube right now, hit share it onto your Facebook. If you're listening to this on audio, as 99.999% of you are, hit that follow button, but more importantly, give me a 5-star rating and review. We do 5 shows a week here on the Fair Stop Podcast Network, keeping first responders informed and entertained all week long, starting with Uncuffed Monday, all the society and culture news, with comedian Margaret and comedian J. Darrell White. And then we have True Crime on Tuesday, political news on Wednesday, sports on Thursday. And then we wrap up the week with Big Case Breakdown on Friday. Next week, we've got constitutional litigator, runner-up for state senator in Virginia, Jonathan Emord, on to talk about this whole SCOTUS argument with the First Amendment as it goes to as it pertains to social media. And that's a big deal because if you weren't paying attention, and I don't know who it is, we'll get into it next week, but literally there was some testimony where a female said that her biggest fear was that the First Amendment in social media is a threat to our government.
That's kind of what it's there for.
Yeah, that's what the First Amendment was there for. It's getting crazy. Listen, Tanstradamus, you've heard it 1,000 times. I said this year was going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It's only getting crazier. But I feel like I knew, and this is hard for me to say, right? Because I've always been so middle of the road. On the last Trump election, when I was podcasting with Mike the Cop, I was actually called a left-wing nut by a lot of you. That was back when we had Mike the Cop days. There was like 400 or 500 people in the live chats before all the social media censoring came. Isn't that crazy? We used to have anywhere between 400 and 1,000 people in the live chats. And then after we were demonetized one time, we've never, ever had over 40 in the live chats. Isn't that crazy how that works? Like just how that censorship from YouTube works. It's like you get one. I mean, that was, 3 years ago? We got that little slap on the wrist 2 years ago, that little spanking, because we were talking about the vaccine, which now you could say as many times as you want. But ever since then, we've never been allowed to really grow on YouTube. It's very disheartening. But that's, I was called back then. We had all those people in the live chats that I was a left-wing nut, that I was too hard on Donald Trump, And now Now I'm almost like red pilled because the left is so unhinged that you can't not talk about it. And listen, I have a bunch of friends who are Democrat, but they're now like more middle of the road. Like I was just talking to one yesterday. I was talking to one yesterday morning. And our views always were wildly different in the Trump era, but now our views are like wildly the same. He still holds on that he's a Democrat, but like when you talk to him, like he's even embarrassed and ashamed of what the left has become, and it's becoming just more unhinged. So if you're a Democrat, listen, I'm not talking to you, right? Like I'm not talking to just your middle of the road Democrat kind of by proxy, because there's just maybe you're a little bit pro, you want some gun regulations, or maybe you're pro choice or whatever, and I get it, but you gotta be a little bit embarrassed, right? Like you gotta be a little bit embarrassed where left-wing politics, left-wing media is going, because it just doesn't seem to be getting any better, and the lies that are being told are so grossly exaggerated. There's such bad lies that at this point, it's like anybody that is there anybody that believes it? First and foremost, if you're in the chats and you're on the left, I mean, is there any of the left-wing media that you are you believing this? Do you really think that Biden is up in the polls? I saw one of the left-wing media outlets talk about Biden's economics and how they're flourishing. Like, does anybody believe that?
Flourishing for who? For the Biden crime family? Because they're not flourishing for the rest of America. Everybody in America, gas is up. Everything that you look at is up. We haven't looked at, we're just starting to slowly look at houses out here. We looked at houses when we first moved out here in 2016. We looked at them again really hard in 2019, and then we decided that we were going to wait until my wife finished her PhD. Well, now here she's finished her PhD. Now we want to look at houses. Everything that we've looked at 2 or 3 years ago is $250,000 to $300,000 more than what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, they said the average mortgage went from $1,300 a month to over $3,000 in 2 years. It's record level. If you would fact check that for me, put average mortgage in 2019, 2018, average mortgage now. But yeah, like what kind of dream world are you living in? You got to call it like you see it. And here we go again with the media. And this is what I'm trying to build up to, guys. This is what I'm building up to as more people are joining the chats. And listen, we need your help on the YouTubes. I don't put a lot of effort into YouTubes, but we got the cameras, we got the lights, we got these studios. It would be great to capitalize on the YouTube. So if you would share it out. But here we go. We had Trump giving a speech. What is this? So here we go. Historical mortgage rates. Look how high they are up. Can you explain that graph to us really fast, Deadleg?
This is only in the last 2 years.
2 years.
This is from 22 to 24.
Crap. How much is that up?
This, so it starts below 2 or 3%. I'm going to guess is where the chart starts at.
Yeah.
And we're hovering somewhere between 6.5% and 7% in January of this year.
Yeah, and that's only in 2 years. That is insane. So yeah, I mean, like on what planet is everybody financially doing better? But here we go. This is where I'm getting the proof at. Trump gave a speech, campaign speech, and he mentioned that the auto industry, it was going to be a bloodbath if he didn't get voted in. And the media went wild with it. Go ahead and put up some of these pictures of what the media had to say about this really quick. Just some of the pictures. CNN, Trump suggests it's going to be a bloodbath if he loses the election. Trump declares it will be a bloodbath. Donald Trump, this is The Independent. Donald Trump warns of a bloodbath in the U.S. if he isn't elected president again. Gaza family reunion turns into a bloodbath on Ramadan Friday. Airstrikes. So we got another one. You got another one? Let's see. In Ohio campaign rally, Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses. In Ohio, Trump warns, this is Pittsburgh Post. In Ohio, Trump warns of bloodbath if he doesn't win election. Washington Post, Trump says undocumented immigrants aren't people. Okay, so I went too far. But you see on the bloodbath, they just went crazy. Now it was trending on Twitter, and I literally got text messages. How can you say that you're for democracy? How can you say that you're for freedom if the guy that you're voting for is talking about bloodbath? And I was like, yo, what? But I do this every time. Like these same people that texted me about Breonna Taylor, I was like, what? A no-knock warrant? She was asleep in her bed? Like that's a lot of fuck ups. Like either we have like a real criminal organization of a police department that was taking a conspiracy style hit on somebody, or none of this is right. Come to find out, none of it was right, and everybody was acquitted. So it's like every time these same people call me with these crazy media lies, I mean that's exactly what they are. They're media lies. And so I started digging into this whole bloodbath thing. And I brought it up Monday, and Jay was like, I've never heard people use the bloodbath. So here we go. So this is for you, Jay Durrell. make this a cut for Jay Durrell for Uncuffed. Make it a reel. I'm gonna play this for you really quick. This is I got this off a Ruffalo Brand show, but I went and had to find this clip because I knew there was one out there. And I said it on Monday. I said I was gonna do this, and I found one out there. Let me go ahead and play it for you guys.
Politico.com reports tonight on the, quote, bloodbath at the RNC.
Headlines calling it a, quote, bloodbath.
Yeah, bloodbath. Not only is it going to be a bloodbath, but after they leave New Hampshire, it's a bloodbath on her home turf. That's really tough. Trump has left a lot of corpses in his wake. I mean, we can count the bodies as part of the, quote, MAGA drive to take over Maricopa County. And the headline refers to it as an impending bloodbath. Columnist Charles Blow has a new piece for the New York Times entitled A Biden Bloodbath.
2018 midterms, you can bet that they 100% are fearing a slaughter. In fact, the word bloodbath and massacre come up frequently.
The Republican Party will be destroyed. It's going to be a bloodbath.
There's going to be a bloodbath one way or the other.
Bloodbath for Bernie Sanders.
It's been a bloodbath there, shaping up to be a bloodbath.
Head off a bloodbath in next year's crucial midterm.
Off-year elections are often a blood.
My favorite. No, I wanted to keep going. There was a whole
bloodbath for Democrats. A bloodbath at the ballot box.
There could be a Republican bloodbath.
They'll talk about a bloodbath.
It's a bloodbath. I have to talk about you. And
seems like because Russell only played a minute of it. So
it kept going.
Clip. Yeah.
It kept going. And so, it's laughable. That's why I say it's hard for me to be middle of the road anymore. It's like that there is no middle of the road. It's like you're either right or wrong in this instance. And it's crazy. I hate it. It's not supposed to be that way. But how unhinged can you be? Like, do they think the American people are stupid? Listen, and if you think that, and I can't wait to get into this with a real constitutional litigator next week. But if you think that this whole ban on TikTok is a ban on TikTok is about Chinese spyware, then you have lost your mind. If you're not keeping up with the SCOTUS, if you're not following this very closely and you're not watching it, man, I'm glad that there are guys like me, guys like Josh more specifically, that are watching every minute of it, because if you're missing this, then you are missing. I don't know how to. I don't want to be hyperbolic. You know what I'm saying, Josh? I'm trying not to be hyperbolic today. I'm trying not to. Go ahead.
It's a very slippery slope where my brain goes to, because this past weekend in real time, it happened in real time. The quote came out, the speech came out, the media did their thing, and then all of the social medias that are legitimately free speech, Twitter, they were able to put, well, this is the context of what he said pretty quick, pretty instantly. Yet it took till Monday or Tuesday before the rest of the world is like, well, okay. So then thinking back, what other things have happened in the media in the last 20, 30, 40 years that have been just outright blatant lies that we haven't been able to fact check in real time because we haven't had the technology like we do now? That's where my scary brain goes to think, what else are they lying? Because then if you have the media and they're supposed to be this beacon of truth, they above anybody else they're going to go through the muck and the bullshit. They're going to listen to what stories a person has to say, another person has to say. They're going to look at evidence. They're going to put it all together, and then they're going to tell a factual story. That's what it's presented to as the media. Well, what's really happening is they're a propaganda piece of the Democratic side of the government for Joe Biden. So everything that they put out has to be nothing but propaganda. So then then it makes me want to, the fear is if something happens in the future, are we going to believe it? Is it really happening? Is this really going on? Because then you can't, just like you said, every bit of news, I absolutely believe every bit of it is absolute a lie. And it's because of the last 3 or 4 years of this. I've seen nothing but this with my own eyes, been able to watch it in real time and go, maybe that doesn't seem so right. We had the vaccines and we had to wait for years before we could finally talk about those. We talked about the election. That's coming up. There's stuff in Michigan where people were arrested for not turning evidence in. They were arrested on a weird warrant, but I don't want to get too deep into that. But there's all kinds of problems with the election that they're having all kinds of evidence is coming out. So the problem with this is the media is what everybody goes to. That's what's supposed to be the truth. And if the truth is an absolute lie, and that's what you want the American people to run on, how much else is a lie?
Well, and that's what we're going to get into Wednesday with Jonathan Emord. By the way, if you're in Virginia, you've got to vote for Jonathan Emord. He's running up against a Jeff Bezos backed opponent here, so it's very important that he wins for Virginia. I'm sorry, George Soros. God, what did I say? Bezos. I'm sorry, George Soros.
Not fun, rich guy.
Right. Yeah. And so because the argument here is that the ban on TikTok is because of a lot of the pro-Palestinian bullshit, right? There's a lot of that going on TikTok, but also they're unregulated on TikTok. They don't have a way. It's just like X. The reason why they're suing X and they're going so hard on X is because the government, cannot control X. The government cannot control TikTok. They don't have the sole ownership. And what's coming out in this whole SCOTUS hearing is that they're saying that during the elections, the government, the FBI, was almost to the point of harassing Facebook about what to post and what not to post. That they were daily in contact with Facebook. Remove this, remove that. Imagine for a moment if the FBI was over CNN. Imagine if the FBI had plants in NBC and ABC and they were able to say, well, let's not run that Hunter Biden laptop story. Let's not run that Ashley Biden story that talks about inappropriate showers with her father leading to her sexual addiction. Let's leave that out. Is that First Amendment free speech? Or are we being fooled? Is the conspiracy really becoming a fact? Is it even obviously it's a conspiracy, but is it a conspiracy theory at this point when we see such blatant and obvious manipulation of the media? And because the government cannot do this with X and with TikTok, they are going after both of them. And if you're so blind that you cannot see that, again, that's why I say it's so hard to be middle of the road anymore, because you cannot miss that what's going on. And it's very, very scary. I'll go one step further. Imagine if Trump was doing this. Imagine if Trump was all over the media saying, let's not report on that. Let's not report on this little thing over here. Let's not report on this over there. We're going to keep that hush hush. The left would be losing their minds, but Donald Trump's not doing that. The left is doing that. Joe Biden is doing that. The fact that our YouTube is such a great example of that. Luckily, podcast hasn't hit that. We're still growing and thriving on podcasts. That's why we invest all of our money into podcasts and not so much the YouTube. But our YouTube has it's been years now that we've had this little message on our YouTube that says only subscribed listeners will get notifications, and all of our videos that we do every single day, 5 days a week, only go out to the people who are listening. Now, I own the show. I own the YouTube channel. Do you know how many notifications I get on my phone when we're live and I have the little bell clicked? I haven't had one in 9 months. At least 9 months. So if I own the YouTube channel, I'm on it all day long, and YouTube is not notifying that there's a live show. We had a live show on Tuesday. And I waited. I was having a movie night with my family. I kept looking at my phone just to see if it was going to give me a notification because I'm going to write another nastygram. I didn't get a nastygram. And let me go one step further to prove to you. I'm not allowed to talk about that. You guys know I'm writing a book, right? You know I wrote a book. You know I signed a major book deal. The reason I can't, I want to talk. I cannot wait. I can't, listen, I don't want to ruin this. I will say that my book, somebody has accused my book of being too empathetic. It humanizes the badge too much.
I'm sorry. So the people wearing the badge aren't humans anymore?
The problem with the book, this is coming from, I can't wait to blow this wide open one day.
In your next book.
Is that, we're going to get into that. But this is the people that own these big publishing houses and things, it's all in it together. You're only seeing what they want you to see. If a book is too pro-military or too pro, you have to go to a conservative publishing house, which isn't one of the top 5. You have to go to another pod to get them to publish your book, because the top ones, the top publishing houses, they get to pick and choose their books. Great. I believe in that. But you understand that there's a monopoly there. I feel like, and I listen, we'll get into it later on. I can't get into it right now. I'm just not allowed to. And then that's hard for me, because you know how transparent I am with you guys. You know how transparent I love to be with you guys. Davey in the live chat's the Falconator. So, the only way to break these things is to share on Facebook and to share on the social medias. But if you're still going on with this whole theory that the left is being honest with you, or mainstream media, I should say, Elon Musk, we're going to bring this up next Wednesday as well. Elon Musk sat down with
Don
what's his name? Don Lemon, and it was hard to listen to. Don Lemon is it's harder when somebody is making that much money and is at that level of media and journalism, and he's dumber than I am. You understand that, like, I am a C- man giving a C- effort to entertain you on political news on Wednesdays. I don't do political news full time. I don't even really like politics. I didn't get into politics until you guys asked for it. Every time we did a show that like grazed politics, the numbers skyrocketed. So it means you're sitting in your patrol cars and you want to know what's going on. So I ended up like sacrificing stuff that I like, which are conspiracy theories. I like Bigfoot. I like aliens. I like Egyptian stuff. That's why I like Joe Rogan's show so much. I like these weird things. So this is out of my wheelhouse, but I feel like Don Lemon, if you listen to him, and I'm going to play this next week for you guys, man, you're just like, wow, how does a guy that stupid, how is he able to get paid that much and be on a platform that reaches that many people? And he's that dumb.
I have a better question.
Go ahead. What is it?
You watched the interview just as I did. So he was there. He knows how that interview went. He knows how Elon just manhandled him. Absolutely manhandled him. So here's my question. Why would you still put that out?
Yeah.
If you know how bad it is, why put that out?
Well, I mean, I guess because the show has to go on. But who do we have we have this whole Trump allegation, which we'll jump into right now. Trump is suing ABC for George Stephanopoulos. What am I, drunk again? What am I, Nancy Pelosi over here? What am I, Hillary Clinton sharing my words at work? George Stephanopoulos. Even if I was, which I am, stone cold sober this morning.
It's a hard name.
I can't say it. I can't say the name.
So
Trump is suing him because he grossly kind of did, defamation of name, which is what Trump was being sued by. And you gotta love this, man. That's why I said the gloves are coming off. The gloves are coming off. So Stephanopoulos said in an interview that judges and 2 separate juries have found Trump liable for rape. And that's not true. They actually found just the opposite, that he wasn't liable for rape. He was liable for defamation of name, for making fun of her, but he was not liable for rape. Stephanopoulos also said, let me just fact check myself really quick. Did a jury find Trump liable for rape? The answer is no. Absolutely, they did not. A jury in New York declined to find Trump liable for rape, but did find him liable for sexual abuse of E. Jean Carroll, but not rape. Stephanopoulos said that judges in 2 separate juries have found him liable for rape, and he doubled down on it. Then he also had an actual rape victim on. And I say an actual rape victim because I don't believe that E. Jean Carroll was a rape victim. And George Stephanopoulos tries to question her about her ties to Trump and voting for Trump, even though she's been raped. She was like, what an offensive question. Like, how dare you shame me for being raped and who I vote for, and trying to use, just because I'm raped, I now have to vote for your guy. Like, are you serious? Like, how inappropriate is that? He doubles down on it. He keeps going. She fights back brilliantly. And they fight back and forth. And then this is when he starts to kind of come unhinged, and he starts saying, well, Trump is lying. He was held liable for rape. He was late. And he just keeps going on. And she was like, 1, no, he wasn't. And 2, E. Jean Carroll, right after she was awarded this money, she goes out and starts boasting to the media, to you guys, on what she was going to buy. Myself, who was actually raped, really like brutally raped, would never be boasting about, like, the money doesn't really justify what happened to me. I don't want money. And I would not be boastful of what I was going to do with that money.
Well, I want to point out some hypocrisy.
Okay.
So Stephanopoulos, Bill Clinton has been held liable in a criminal court for sexual assault. And George not only supported him, he was the communications director for his 1992 presidential campaign. So, George, I have a question for you, bud. Same question for you. How do you feel supporting someone who has been actually convicted of sexual assault, and you worked for them? Oh, crickets. You don't get to accost a rape victim. Like, this is the other thing. Everything that they bring up, they have to tie to Trump. No matter what it is, it's Trump. Well, Trump hasn't been in office for the last 4 years. So you can't put somebody in, you can't make him the scapegoat because the guy that you voted in wasn't as good as you thought it was. So you're going to start blaming the other. Like, you can't get mad at him and go, oh, we're going to pound our chest and we're going to beat and we want Biden in. And well, okay, well, you got what you wanted, supposedly. Now he's in office and he's just destroying this country, and you're not happy like everybody else is, but you still want to blame Trump. We have to put blame where blame is. Like, personal accountability comes with personal accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions. So you don't get to work for Bill Clinton, who do we want the list? Do we?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, yeah, right. Where does that list even end?
He had the, here's my opinion. My opinion is he might have had a first class ticket all the time to the, like, he's got the frequent flyer miles and they got the extra peanuts. Cause if you frequent the island enough, maybe you get some perks, like, Hertz rental car, your third car is free or something like that. The fifth island, your second prostitute's free. You can't accost someone who is an actual rape victim on camera while all the time at the same time accusing someone of raping someone that hasn't happened. You can't do both and not be held liable. So not only that, good on him, because Trump's kind of needs some money right now. He's not cash liquid, and the New York Attorney General is saying pay up, and he doesn't have money.
And here again, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, the gloves are coming off. I mean, it's so apparent right now that they are just losing their gosh darn minds, that he's crushing the polls. Dude, there's no way that Trump becomes president. I will tell you right now, they will shut the grid down. They will. And why? Like, what is, are they really willing to sell the soul of this country because they're not going to get their way for 4 years? Are they really going to bring the whole country to a collapse? I mean, this solar eclipse thing where they've enacted the National Guard for this solar eclipse, and they're telling you, I've lived through many of eclipses. You remember in kindergarten, right? You punch a hole. Well, I'm a lot older than a lot of you guys. You punch a little hole in the card and you watch the eclipse. We do this all the time. I never once heard that, hey, if you're going to watch the solar eclipse, make sure you have 2 weeks of rations and supplies to survive. And the National Guard in states all the way across America have been enacted. The units these like nuclear units and these like more like scientific based intelligence units are being called up. Very, very, very strange. Look, I don't want to jump into that because we don't know, right? So April 8th comes around. I look like a fucking like an idiot. Nothing happens. There's no National Guard. I look stupid. I'm not telling you that that's the end of days. I'm not doing it. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to get those early clicks. I'm not that guy. Listen, I don't need your clicks. I like your clicks. By the way, hit that like and subscribe button. But I'm not going to sell my soul. I'm not going to sell my reputation or my integrity. I don't really believe that April 8th is going to be that catastrophic. I think it'll be more like Y2K. We'll wake up and be like, that was pretty uneventful. I say 20. I don't even want to go 20%. I'll say 15%. Let me go 15% chance something strange happens. Now, what I do think happens, not being hyperbolic, what I do think happens, October, solar flare, EMP, we lose that internet for a couple of days, or when something really ramps up, pro-Trump, Trump does something great, does something good, they're going to crash the internet for, a couple hours. They're going to disrupt things. They're going to continue to disrupt things, kind of confuse us, not give you enough to be like, oh, it's apparent. It's like, it's apparent. It's absolute. It's 100% they're rigging the election, but it'll be like, well, the internet went down when this thing was trending. And then hours later wasn't trending anymore. It could be the government, or you could just be crazy. You're not crazy. Like they're going to manipulate it that way. That's my Tanstradamus prediction.
Can I ask you a question?
You can.
While
Actually,
you're on this,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll do ad reads after your question.
Where do we go in 4 years?
I don't think personally, this is my opinion, guys. C- student at best. You should not be betting on my opinion. You know what I mean? Like this would be like me betting on a football game. Don't bet. I go on logo. Like if the Lions are playing the Bears, what do I think would win in a fight, a lion or a bear? Like that's how I bet on sporting events because I'm not a sports guy, right? So I'm not a politics guy. Please don't bet on me. Please don't bet on me. Go and do your own research. But I want to give you my bet because it's my show and that's what I get to do. Yeah, you want to do it yourself, go start your own podcast. It's super fun. Say whatever you want. I don't personally think Trump has. I don't think there's a 1%. I don't think there's a 1% chance Trump makes it. Suck on that. I don't think Trump has a shot in hell. I think there's a 0% chance Trump makes it as the president. Not because he's going to lose, but because the Democrats, the left is not going, or not even the left. Let me back that up really fast. Not even the left. I think the right and the left have come together. I think they're one and the same. And they're saying we can't have this outlier become president and ruin all this for us. We've had so much fun. Like it's almost like the royal family, like the royal bloodlines. We can't allow this peasant, this person outside of our royal bloodlines to be president. We didn't plan for this. We can't control this guy. We can control Obama. We put him into place. Chelsea Gabbard. They put her. Is it Chelsea Gabbard that was running? Tulsi Gabbard
from Hawaii.
No, I'm sorry, not Tulsi Gabbard. She was just on Drinking Bros. That's why I got her on my mind. Who's the girl that talks to her teeth?
Hillary too.
Yeah. God, how do we forget her name already? That's Nikki Haley. Yeah.
That's how unmemorable she is.
Yeah, that's how unmemorable it is. So I was talking to a man who I trust very much. Part of the Republican Party, has been part of the Republican Party since the like 90s, early 90s. He's been in politics his whole life. He's got a doctorate degree, very smart guy, very wealthy guy as well, very well-rounded human being, never got married, just his whole life is politics, whole life. And he said like, it was at a wedding in Florida 4 or 5 years ago. And he told me that the first woman president was going to be Nikki Haley. And I was like, what? Who the fuck is Nikki Haley? I've never even heard of Nikki Haley. So when Nikki Haley came up now, I was like, oh, this dude warned me of this like 5 or 6 years ago. No, it was more than that. Yeah, it was like 5 or 6 years ago. Probably better like 6 years ago. And so like they know who they're going to choose. They know who they've picked to run for president. And Trump was never that guy. So I think that both the left and right, I don't think that it might be personally. Again, don't go share this with your friends trying to act smart, because there's a good chance you could look stupid. I just have this like intuition, if you will, this gut feeling. I'm not going to call it a Tanstradamus prediction because I haven't seen it in my brain. When I get these Tanstradamus predictions, I actually see them because I have ESPN. I actually see the future. I'm not seeing the future on this. Actually, the future I do see doesn't include a Trump, but I don't know what happens to him. Is it a heart attack? Is it a heart attack? Does he take a nap on his ghost bed and just decide, you know what? I don't want to be president anymore. Let me get to the chat really fast here. Tyler S. says he's experienced losses in life. Never. Why do I do that? Why do I see a chat and then I think it's going to be relevant?
There's a conversation going on.
Yeah, it's just a side conversation.
Yeah, it's a fair. I don't want to bring it up because it's a personal one, but one of our Wolfpack members had a loss in their family, so the chats are consoling.
Thoughts and prayers. THOUGHTS and prayers to you guys. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt your chat, but I did want to get to that somebody said that Michael Hendricks says that he won March Madness in an office-based betting upon which mascot would win. So it's a legit strategy. I know it's a legit strategy, and it's 50-50 anytime. You never know. But I think in this case, 0% chance Trump makes it. They don't allow it. If I had to predict how, I would say Trump has a weird heart attack before the elections. That's just my prediction. I'm not going to say it's poison-based heart attack, but it'll probably be a poison-based heart attack, or maybe like some kind of weird plane crash or car accident, like a Princess Diana type situation. But I don't see him. I don't see them allowing it. I think they'll try all the way up until the week of election, and then something will happen. But they've tried everything. I mean, they've thrown every thing in the kitchen at this, and none of it's worked. So what else do you do? I mean, if you can't get the guy legally, if you can't get the guy financially, if you can't shamefully get him, the only way you can get him is get him. You know what I mean? Boeing whistleblower to get him.
Or rock, paper, scissors on a ghost bed.
Or rock, paper, scissors on a ghost bed. Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com. Listen, I'm going to do the ad reads really fast, but we're going to jump right into this Boeing whistleblower that's gotten even crazier. I'm using percents a lot today. I'm 90% on this being a conspiracy. I'm 95% on this being a conspiracy. I'm going to bump it up 5 more %. Because I like to get the benefit. If I was rating a wine, you know what I mean? And I'm on the fence. Is this 90? Is it 91? Is it 92? I already go to 95. If I'm at 90 and I'm like, well, is this an 80, 88? I mean, I'm like, is this an 88? Is this an 89? Is it 90? I go to 85. That's how I rate wines. I rated and graded wines for lots of big companies, places that you shop at wine for, guaranteed across the United States, across the world, wine shops. If you've read some of the cards, chances are you've probably read one of my ratings and reviews. So these big stores used to send me cases of wine and give them my professional wine ratings as a sommelier, as a certified specialist of wine. I had a lot of fun doing that. But that's a little secret unto me. Like if I was on the fence, I would just go ahead and give you the 95. I mean, unless this was like I'm dialing it in, I would just jump up to 95 or the 80s, because I always give the benefit of the doubt, right? Like I'm like, well, maybe I'm just being some kind of biased here, or maybe there's something here that I don't like. So let me like just go with the average consumer is going to love this. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the 95, right? So in this case, I'm like 91%. So really, I'm just going to tell you 95% because I think I just don't want to believe it. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the consumer, you guys who kind of want to believe it. I think you're right. I think this was a conspiracy, and I'm going to give you the evidence of why I think this Boeing thing is a conspiracy. But I have to do these ad reads really first. But I'm going to make them fun. I'm going to make them flirty with you. Ghostbed. First and foremost, ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. I don't lose my mind because I get a good night's sleep. I think mental wellness, mental health starts with a good night's sleep. That's why we're proud to sponsor and be partnered with Ghostbed from the beginning, from day one. I went and took a tour of the Ghostbed facility. I slept on all of their mattresses, homemade in-house mattresses. This is crazy. Put that up on the screen for me. They've got the Ghost Bed Luxe. Look at right now, 50% off site wide. All of the different mattresses from hard, soft. They've got actual box frame mattresses. They've got the gel. They've got the memory foam. I mean, you can take this massive survey. I have never met a group of human beings that were so obsessed with a technology in bed. I went to their laboratory. I went to their customer service areas, or their customer service building. It's separate from where the beds are. I went to their showroom, which is also separate. I've been to every part of Ghost Bed. I've gone to where they ship them from. I got the whole kit and caboodle on the tour. I got to feel the original prototype of some of these beds. They're the oldest surviving American-made bed company. Incredible. And they are huge supporters of not only free speech and podcasts, but law enforcement. And that's why they do 50% off site wide. So head over to ghostbed.com, use the promo code Wolfpack, get the adjustable base, the cooling sheet, the pillows. I'm going out of town. We just got invited to this epic skateboard session. This is not part of the ad read, but my kid, my son, Duke August Elkin Tansey, they all have their own Instagrams. Go and follow them. These are up and these guys are rippers. These guys are shredders. Liquid Death sending them a huge package. They just sent us a DM. Liquid Death wants to send them some stuff because my kids drink the Liquid Death sparkling water. They have some pictures the photographer took of them. Awesome, they've got a bunch of like little viral clips. But I mean, these kids are like 11 and 9 years old and 6 years old, skating in pro-am events, in big contests. And so we got invited for this week where we're going to a ranch camp, and they asked if my kids would come and be part of this video promotion. And they're promoting this thing, and they want my kids to be in part of the thing. My kids got to go and skate at Tim Pool's house. So if you guys are Tim Pool fans, Timcast, if you guys are Richie Jackson fans, my kids got to go and personally skate with Taylor Silverman, Richie Jackson, and Tim Pool. What an epic day that was. That was awesome. That was in October. So, but anyway, I'm going to this ranch. They're paying for all of it, cabin rent, the whole thing. They're putting us in a cabin on the property. It's like a 130-acre property. And I'm taking my Ghost Bed pillow. And I've got the travel case with it because I cannot travel without my Ghost Bed pillow. Next up, we've got factormeals.com. You see how jacked I'm getting, guys? You know, I'm doing jujitsu at 40 years old almost. I'll be 40 this year. I'm doing it 4 or 5 days a week. At this point, I'm officially a white stripe white belt for all you BJJ nerds out there. How do I say jack? It's because I eat right. I sleep right. I eat right. Factormeals.com. Promo code Wolfpack50. We're talking about chef prepared, fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your front door. Get up on the interwebs on a Tuesday, pick out all your stuff or whatever day you want. You jump up on the interwebs, you go to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Hundreds of menu items to include breakfast items. You can do calorie conscious, protein heavy. You can do vegan, vegetarian, keto, whatever you want to do. They got the breakfast shakes. They've got smoothies. They've got
bunch of new smoothies. This
whole
is a
bunch
whole
of
section of new smoothies. These are all.
Dude.
I've seen this when we were pulling it up.
What is that smoked brisket, bro? It's Factor Meals is incredible. And by the time you go to the grocery, you buy your groceries, you drive home, you cook all your individual things, you find the Pyrex. Matter of fact, one of you, Liz Marie in our Wolfpack family, she actually sent me a picture of her tossing out all of her Rubbermaids because she's up on that Factor Meals. Matter of fact, homeboy Jay Durrell, he's actually having to order double the Factor Meals because his dad, who's very old, I think he's close to 90 at this point, having a lot of medical problems. Daddy is getting into his Factor Meals, and it's like you can't tell your 90-year-old dad to chill on your Factor Meals. So he's starting to order double because his dad is all up on this right now. His dad was the type of guy too that was just eating, like, you know what I mean, like old people foods, and they're stuck in their ways. But once he got a hold of one of those Factor Meals, it's all he wants now. So by the time you do all of that, the price is a wash. It equals out. It's super affordable. Head over to factormeals.com. Promo code Wolfpack50. Get you 50% off your first order. Get your meal planning to the next level. Start that diet today. Get in shape, get healthy. And you can look at me. I'm down 17 pounds since December.
Anthony's down a bunch of weight too.
Yeah, Anthony's huge on Factor Meals as well. So, and last but not least, we're talking about all of these end of days things, guys. All these. Notice that I pick my ad reads that can entertain you, inform you, but they're also good for you as first responders. wellness company. They've got the travel med kits. They've got the med kits for your home, for survival. We're talking about your ivermectin, your monoclonal antibodies. We're talking about your Z-Packs. When the zombie apocalypse happens, and it will, Tanstradamus predicted it in late October, early November, we're going to have some like gritty shutdown type things. We're going to have some rolling blackouts. Who knows? It might even happen as early as April 8th. The zombies are going to hit the CVS, the Walgreens, the pharmacies. That's where the zombies go first. Your meth heads, your crack heads, your heads. It's going to be dangerous. Go ahead now. Go to the wellness company. Jump on. This is ran by Dr. Peter McCullough, as seen on Joe Rogan. Dr. Drew. You know Dr. Drew. All these leading doctors. They're to fight big pharma, to fight the next pandemic so that you don't have to go and get vaxxed and jabbed. You could get a teledoc thing. You go online, they video screen you, they go ahead and pre-prescribe you what you need. So if you're going on a hike, all the things that could happen to you, anti-malaria pills, industrial strength ibuprofens, penicillin, amoxicillin, whatever. They get these whole kits. There's several different ways to customize it. There's 3 big major ones. Mine's already on its way, so I'll show it to you as soon as it gets here. But I don't have to worry about my family needing prescription meds for the flu, for the common cold. So when the grid goes down, we're not going to get sick. I used to dream about the first thing I would do was run to the pharmacy section of whatever major store was closest to me, and I would wipe out the shelf with cold and flu medicine, with gels for cuts and scrapes, because that's what's going to kill you in the end times. I've been to survival school through the military, one of the hardest schools the Army has to offer. And, a foot injury, jungle rot can be the end of you.
I'll take you out.
A cut, MRSA, all these things. So wellness company is really cool, especially if you're a prepper. You got to get down on that, save yourself 10%. And we're super proud to partner with the wellness company. So head over there. Okay, let's jump into this whistleblower story that I am just obsessed with right now.
Let's not fly into it because I don't know that we'd make it.
What's that?
I said, let's not fly into it because I don't know if we make it.
So this case gets a lot weirder.
Yes.
I was on the fringe. I was on the fringe of what this was. And now I'm not on the fringe anymore. 95%. So this guy testifies. And Boeing says, their lawyers say, we need you for one more day. On the last day, mind you, we're going to need you to come in for one more deposition.
To wrap this up.
Now, Mr. Barnett was already in touch with his old lady, making plans. They already had some things in the wheelhouse. All the text messages were chirpy. He was in good spirits and good mood. He was excited that he was winning. He'd been fighting this battle after retiring from Boeing in 2017. He's been fighting this battle. By the way, he was for quality and control. So this was literally his job, was to call this out. He said in 2017 that they were using bolts to bolt on the doors that went to other parts of the plane, and they weren't going to hold up. And then guess what happened this year? A door flies off of a Boeing plane because the bolts don't hold. They were, well, go ahead.
I was going to say, Boeing's had quite a few incidents. They've had doors fall off. They've had wheels falling off. They've had fuel falling out. They've had pieces of the cowling for the motors falling off. They've had to return because they've had 3 or 4 incidents in 1 week, last week or the week before last. Every time I got on the computer, there was something else with Boeing in the news.
Because you're a big pilot, you're big into flying and all those things. You're really astute to all of that. And you and I've been talking about it on the daily that, they stopped their quality and control to make more money. And so they were laying people off, and they were only holding out for inspections when this quality control guy, Steve Barnett is his name. Am I saying his name right?
I think I don't have it pulled up.
His last name is Barnett. I think his first name is
John
Steve.
Barnett.
John Barnett. John, Steve, Jimmy, who cares? No, John Barnett. He was saying that, listen, these guys, they're not inspecting the planes on the daily like they should, or on the weekly or on the monthly. They're just waiting for these rando inspections that they're forced to have before they're inspecting these planes. And that's not the way it should be. And if you go months, years without these certain inspections, then that's when your doors start falling off and your wheels start falling off. And they're so far behind on these things, and they're trying to fix so many things that's what it's come to. So they call him back in. He's supposed to be flying out. He's supposed to be going home. Driving home back to Arkansas. And they're like, we're going to need you for one more day. Stick around. One more day, good sir. One more day. Now, Boeing's friend, this female, John Barnett was, by the way, he's forced to stay one more day. That's when he's found dead.
The next morning.
Right. And the police report that a piece of paper that resembles a note was also found in the car. Now, we don't know what that note says or anything yet. The attorneys were shocked. They said that he was in great spirits leading up to this. They didn't see any signs of suicide. I've said a million times, dude, everybody I know has committed suicide. I mean, dude, my uncle committed suicide. My cousin committed suicide. My aunt accidentally committed suicide. My neighbor that lives behind me blew his brains out. His jaw was stuck in the ceiling. It was insane. My other neighbor on the other side of me, murder, suicide, killed his wife, killed himself, left his 2 kids, which were my age, home alone. One of my closest buddies that I grew up with since kindergarten, when we were in high school, my mom was supposed to be heading to the house to check on him because he didn't answer the phone. Back then we didn't have cell phones. My mom gets over there. He's hanging from an extension cord from his tree in his backyard. The thing is, with all of those people, nobody was ever surprised. It was a shock, right? Like, oh my God, he did it. But there was
clues.
We knew that they suffered. We knew that they weren't. We knew that the one neighbor, they were always yelling at each other. They were always talking about my uncle. He was wrapped up in some motorcycle stuff, some gang stuff. He was wrapped up in some bad bets that he couldn't pay it off. His home life sucked. He was an alcoholic. He had to go. My aunt was super depressed because of that. Led up to that. Good buddy of mine, me with the distillery, got to the point where they took him on a intervention. That they all went hiking on the Appalachian Trail with this guy to get him to not kill himself, literally. And it got to a part, I was a part of the conversation where it's like, should we Baker Act this dude? Should we give him a 48-hour med hold? And the consensus was like, he's the type of guy that will kill himself because you did that. Like, he will lose all trust in everybody. That would be the worst thing for him. He ended up committing suicide. But again, like, we were like, oh no, he did it. But there are signs to these things. You could say like, yes, he suffered. In this case, a lot of people are saying they didn't see it coming. Now, the best friend of Steve Barnett has recently come out and said that he came out and said, just know that if I die, it's not suicide.
So
this is his quote. If anything happens, it's not suicide. Said that days before his death.
So just so we can recap, this guy spent a career at Boeing, found a bunch of problems, brought it to their attention. They didn't do anything about it. So he left, became a whistleblower, spent the next half of a decade of his life fighting Boeing on this, gets into the deposition port, like he's at the finish line. Not only that, he's telling his friends that, hey, I'm not going to suicide myself. Not only that, hey, I'll be home on Sunday. So go ahead and make dinner, roll out the red carpet. I'm coming home. It's going to take me 2 days to drive. So all of the facts leading up to this lead one way, and then you have him suicide himself. So if he legitimately did commit suicide, it would, if he wanted to add like an aura or a conspiracy, if he wanted to add that to it, it's done for sure. There's definitely more questions than answers here. But if you're on the other side of things, you need to pull up your skirt and show it. Like, look, this is where our people were. Like, you need to come, like, because all of the questions are, did Boeing have him whacked? That's the question that everyone goes to. I'll ask, short of being sued myself, that's a question that I'm asking out loud. That did he suicide himself, or was he assassinated to make it look like a suicide? What did he have? Because here's the other question. His attorney probably has all of whatever he was deposed about or whatever he was talking about. He probably has a copy of all that stuff. So if there was something in there that has yet to come out, I'm pretty sure that'll come out. So if there's something that's crazy damning that they didn't want to come out, They're in depositions. Not only that, they're in depositions, and someone that was being deposed didn't show up because they were like. There's so many questions and like little.
Yeah, you hold him. You hold him one more day, and that's
exactly.
And then he commits suicide that day. He doesn't show up that day. It's bizarre. This is coming from ABC4 News, Charleston, South Carolina. Close family friend of John Barnett said that he predicted he might wind up dead, and that the story could surface that he killed himself. But at the time, he told her not to believe it. I know that he did not commit suicide, she says, a friend of Barnett's. There's no way. Jennifer, this is the friend, said that they talked about this exact scenario playing out. However, now his words seem more like premonition. He told her directly not to believe. I know John because his mom and my mom are best friends, Jennifer said. Over the years, get-togethers, birthdays, celebrations, whatnot, we've all got together and talked. When Jennifer needed help one day, Barnett came to see her. They talked about his upcoming deposition in Charleston. Jennifer knew Barnett filed an extremely damaging complaint against Boeing. He said the aerospace giant retaliated against him when he blew the whistle on unsafe practices. For more than 30 years, he was a quality manager. He'd recently retired and moved back to Louisiana, back in with his mom. He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him. Jennifer said, I said, aren't you scared? And he said, no, I ain't scared. But if anything happens to me, it's not suicide.
And then you get a cold body.
In a car at a hotel in Charleston, when if he wouldn't have been held over one more day, he would have been already on his way back to Arkansas and finishing out these plans. Now, when somebody commits suicide, they cancel plans. They don't make plans to break the plans. That's very rare. One of the signs of suicide is when people start
selling stuff off, canceling plans.
Hey, hey, listen, don't worry about the movies on when I get back. Like, I'm not going to be in the mood. I'm going to be too tired. No, this guy was actively making plans, putting things into action, putting these plans in action. He was supposed to be driving back, and then he ends up getting held over, and then oh, we weren't planning on this, but we have to hold you over because we have to kill you before you leave Charleston, because he was actually heading to Arkansas and straight to another deposition somewhere else. He had another.
I don't know. I can't remember that part of it, but he was going to leave that Friday. He was going to leave after the deposition and had planned to leave and start driving that day. But right. the attorneys are like, hey, we can't continue this case. We can't go to the next people we need to depose until we finish deposing you first. And we have a few more things we need to go over. Can you stay one more day? That's all we need is one more day and you're going to be good. Then you can go tomorrow. And he's like, okay. And then the next morning, this happens. Like you said, we have way more questions than answers. And every time that something, not just this, but every time that something comes out in the media and there's so much that we know, but so little that we don't, like big pieces and big components. That's how the word conspiracy, that's how future facts. I don't like conspiracy theories. I'm going to start calling them future facts. That's how future facts get started, is by leaving out key components of this information. So I don't know. I do understand that there are times that like in this case, it doesn't say how many times what he did. I think he shot himself is what the method.
Yes. Yeah. Self-inflicted gunshot wound.
And then sometimes there are some people that try to commit suicide, and when they shoot themselves in the head, they put the gun underneath their chin and they put their head back. Well, the bullet trajectory doesn't go through the brain like you want it to. It goes through the bottom of your mouth. There's nothing there. It's just soft tissue until it hits your nose. So then it explodes out the front of your face. Now you're in a lot of pain, but you're still alive. So some people do commit suicide and they shoot themselves twice. It's a very rare, and there's evidence to back it up. But one of these things, like the sheriff and the people, like the police department, you have to have overwhelming evidence that says that this is a suicide for anybody to believe that it's not a whack.
Yeah, Michael Hendricks in the chat says that he wants to know why so many people off themselves in my orbit. Because I grew up like in the swamps of Florida. Florida's a shitty kind of place. Especially when you're living along the riverside, and it kind of gets depressing out there.
Poor,
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think people are, just make poor life decisions out there. I can't tell you why. I also put myself in a position to know a lot of people. So the more people you know, the more people to commit suicide. But I mean, it is what it is. That's the only answer I have on that. And then I come from a very troubled family. I was not troubled personally. My mom was raised homeless with 9 brothers and sisters. My mom was severely abused. My dad has his sister is the one that committed suicide. Well, she accidentally committed suicide. She overdosed. And then but her husband did commit suicide. But my grandmother, it's weird family dynamics there. I'll leave it at that. Weird family dynamics. So I think that would be a reason why there's a lot of crazy.
I also have a long list, but the majority of them are all veterans.
Yeah, I got a lot of veteran friends that committed suicide as well. And one that was going to expose Hillary Clinton in the very early 2000s when he was one of the first people to work for the National Intelligence Agency and tried to blow the whistle with me. And then he ends up committing a murder. By the way, this is the most cowardly man I've ever and he's a good friend of mine and I deployed with him. Very cowardly guy. Definitely not a killer. Definitely not a killer. Murders a roommate, and now he's catatonic. He's been in a catatonic state for years now. I was the last person he texted before he murdered the person. It's very strange text messaging. I've already been through that. You know what? Armory Night, was it Clinton? You'll never believe me. You'll never believe me, so I don't talk about it. I'm just not going to talk about it. It's a bizarre story, and I'm not going to get into it, but I'll take my word on it. It's bizarre. Now, I want to go right back really fast to the Biden's border bloodbath. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about bloodbaths. I want to end the story on this, in the show on this. When Trump was in office, the amount of deaths worldwide were not near what they are now. When you want to talk about a bloodbath, Trump didn't start any new wars. Trump wasn't carpet bombing. Not as much as the Biden administration was.
Trump wasn't letting all the illegals in to kill all the Americans.
Trump wasn't allowing all the illegals across the borders to die trying to get to the border, dying after they get past the border, or the people who have died at the hands of them. We also have what's going on in Hamas, in Israel, Palestine. We also got what's going on in Syria right now as well. So when you want to talk about bloodbath, it has literally been a bloodbath since Biden took office. Literally been a bloodbath. I said the other day, I'm a veteran for peace. Therefore, I have to be a veteran for Trump, because the only time we've had relative peace in the Middle East and worldwide was when Trump was in office. The minute he gets out, the industrial military complex jumps back in. We've got Ukraine, we got Taiwan, we got China threatening Taiwan, we got Russia invading Ukraine, we've got Israel and Iran and Lebanon and Middle East and Syria. You've got Haiti, people pulling out of Haiti, Somalia, and all these places. It just erupted into kind of like a global war, if you will. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think the war machine is chugging along just the way it's supposed to do. And the person that is a stick in the spokes is Donald Trump. And so I always have said, I've been saying recently that I'm a veteran for peace. I want peace. And the only thing that I've seen peaceful is Donald Trump. So I'm not a MAGA guy. You're going to see me in a MAGA hat, and I don't wear the stickers. I made myself a shirt with a big giant peace symbol. It's bright pink. It says veterans for peace, veterans for Trump. And I wear that mostly to be a troll. And I love that shirt. It's very funny. People don't know what to do. They're like, it's bright pink and there's a peace symbol. So yeah. Oh, but it says Trump. Oh, but it says veterans for Trump. But it also says veterans for peace. Nobody knows. So everybody just kind of stares at the shirt, but nobody knows whether, because even the right wing Trump lovers are like, oh, fuck you, peace symbol in pink. Oh, hang on. That says veterans for Trump, veterans for pink. What the fuck? What the hell? It's heads just explode. And that's why it's my favorite shirt. So, and I made it. My friend made it. I designed it. So I'm pretty proud of that shirt. It'll never sell, right? People will never buy that shirt, but I love wearing it because, people just don't know how to act. Left and right. They're like, it's such a mind game. But listen, guys, it's been a great show. Sorry you couldn't see Deadleg. He was very.
Like I said, you want to end on a sad good note?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So we had the bloodbath was trending on Twitter.
Yep.
Well, the minds of the United States put it together and said, well, you know what? If we use that for the Biden bloodbath and make that hashtag and make that go viral, then when people start searching it and you start Googling it and get on all the other places, then when you type in bloodbath, you'll get Biden bloodbath. And Biden bloodbath comes up with a list.
Laken Riley, Christopher Gadd, Elizabeth Medina, Melissa and Wardan Powell, David Hedrick, Cindy Golding, Cheston Edwards, Deborah Brando, Nezareth Tamer, Clore, I can't pronounce that name, Connor Holcomb, Andy Lynn Blair, Esijo Cortez, Musa Fufana, Mafida Thayer, Corbin Wagner, Gretchen Gross, Aiden Clark. These have all been folks who have been killed. Oh, there's more.
There's more. We had to do 2 screenshots for this.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I think it's important. Adam Clark, Michael Kanovich, Ifero Gilbert, Kalea Hamilton, Maria Rios, Ian Garcia, Diane Luckett, all killed by illegal immigrants who came across the border this year or since Biden has been in office. So, we call it the border bloodbath, and that's what's trending, and that's what's been posted. Also, if you want to talk about a bloodbath, being that we're first responder heavy, this is all for first responders. Think about the record number of law enforcement officers that have been executed in the last 3 or 4 years, and how much the number has spiked. Gilmar, all these names. Gilmarty, the VP for the FOP, has been on Fox News. He's a big advocate. We're big fans of him, and you can go back and listen to his episode when he was on our show. But big advocate of this, and he's been very outspoken about how many officers have died and the rise in violent crime against law enforcement officers in this country. So if you really want to talk about a bloodbath, and by the way, we know that Trump was talking about a financial bloodbath to the auto industry, but if you really want to go there, if you really want to push that button, or address that elephant in the room, let's talk about the literal bloodbath since the very unpeaceful Biden regime. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you support our sponsors. Head over to Failure to Stop on Instagram. Head over to Failure to Stop on Facebook. Also FTS_Wolfpack. You can be a private member. It's free. You can be a paid member on our YouTubes, our Patreon account. Lots of new stuff. We've got this whole George Soros backed funded politician thing coming out here soon. Jonathan Emord next week. Make sure you check out all 5 shows, including Anti-Hero Podcast. We're also doing some more stuff, possibly with Mike the Cop, or at least Mike the Cop's son. So we are on the phone. I might be flying to Michigan to do some stuff with them here in the next week or so. So kind of stay tuned on that. We're just doing a collab kind of thing. Also doing a lot of collaborating with Conservative Anthony, as always, Jonathan Emord, and the list goes on. So a lot of good things happening. I can't release this stuff. I think next week I'll be able to talk about the book stuff more in depth. It's still very exciting. There's still really great news, but I just can't wait to tell you guys why it's stalled for so long. You guys are going to lose your minds. You're going to be like, dude, no fucking way. That's got to be in a book in itself. But it's crazy times where being a police officer author is not noble, and that there are people who are so upset that you write a genuinely nice book humanizing the badge that it makes them have a meltdown. It's very funny, and I can't wait to one day talk about it. I just want to tease it for you guys because you guys have been so patient for so long with this book, and it's been great. So I love you guys. I love all the Wolfpack members. We'll see you guys tomorrow for sport, shift. And then and then we've got case breakdown on Friday. So until then, guys, guns up and giddy up.
See ya.